the testing and stuff. I know we're going to have a presentation tonight on the Common Core math. And I am familiar enough with the Common Core math in the upper grades to know that there is a lot of reading involved. And it is my understanding that the test is not given in Spanish, it is only given in English. So under this 90-10 model, for students who are Spanish speakers, are Spanish speaking children, when they get to 4th grade, and they are now just starting a 60-40 model where they're getting 40% of their day in English, and they're more than likely going home and not hearing a lot or being supported in English. Our English kids, they're being fine because they're going home and they're hearing the language and their parents are probably reading with them and doing things in English as well. But for our Spanish-speaking students, when they go to take these tests, which involve a lot of reading, are there supports in place so that they can have it, say, translated for them? Or, because I can automatically see a problem in math that isn't going to even help them with their, we're not going to know what they know how to do in math. And I was just in a classroom where they were doing everything in Spanish and math, and it was fabulous. And it was a dual immersion 2nd grade classroom, so I know these kids know how to do it.
Right.
But, and you see what I'm saying?
You're asking a question that has existed for 20 years. Because, as you know, students have always been asked to complete the exam in English. The SCESD before this, and now the SBAC.
Right.
Now, Mrs. Garcia-Nunez, if I say something wrong, please help me. Yeah, she's ready. I do know that I feel like there are more supports now for second language learners than that's ever existed on the SBAC exam.
Okay.
Now, on the reading comprehension part, no, that has to be done in English.
Oh,
but I know all the directions and everything else, like in the math portion and other areas, with just a little click of a button, they can hear that in Spanish. Is that?
They can hear it in Spanish.
Well, to answer your questions, Mrs. Ish, they have designated supports, and so what we have actually designated for the students in dual immersion is, and AP classrooms, is that they have the text-to-speech in math where they can hear it in English, so the items and some of the stimulus is actually read to them. There's also the stack translation that is turned on for them, so they'll see the Spanish and then they'll see the English.
Oh,
have
okay.
a glossary with it also.
Okay.
So we turn that all on for all the students in dual immersion and AP.
Okay.
And if because they're being taught in the L1, which will be Spanish.
That's what I wanted to know.
And last year was the first time it was available because the SBAC is computerized.
And
That's a wonderful thing.
And that's available
really
actually
good.
to all English language learners, not just our dual immersion
Okay.
students. So.
Then one last question, because again, tonight we're going to hear about staff development and professional development plan. Is there professional development specifically geared towards those dual immersion teachers so that they get support? Because there have got to be great dual immersion teachers who are doing fantastic things that might want to share with newer dual immersion teachers who want to do fantastic things. Is there a way of differentiating, or is that happening, or will that happen, or is it still by grade level, not necessarily by, the...
So you asked quite a bit there. Let me see if I can address that real fast. So absolutely, we have things that we try to target for dual immersion teachers, and we're trying to increase that, especially with the potential language arts adoption for units of study. There will have to be staff development for teachers, just like there is for English language arts, and helping with the Spanish language arts, because that's very important, especially using a new program. Another thing that we're doing this year is we have the grade level release time, where teachers have a substitute that comes into their classroom with lesson plans already made based on grade level standards. That frees them up to be able to collaborate with other people who are at their grade level, with their principal and with their academic coach, and to be able to compare notes using from the classroom to the school site for their own benefit, not to evaluate somebody. One of the other things that that's allowed us to do is to give some time for the dual immersion teachers to come together. So all of the 3rd grade dual immersion teachers can meet together. Ms. Morales is somebody who helps to lead that conversation. They talk about these things that we've discussed today to help to make sure the program's on track. They talk about some best practices. She gives them some staff development. So that's, and they visit other classrooms, dual immersion classrooms, again, for their own benefit, to see what they can learn from that. I think that that's a great place to be, because it's talking about us going to our experts, our practitioners, getting to know them and being able to build capacity in them and in the rest of us. And as we keep looking at that, we can add other staff development as well.
I would also add that 2 of our academic coaches are not only B-clad teachers, teachers with bilingual credentials, they're also teachers with experience in dual immersion programs. And they are assigned to our dual immersion schools so they can provide that assistance to their classroom colleagues.
Is there anything else you want to say?
Yes, I'd like to add that at the beginning of the school year, we also had a chance to meet with one of our consultants, Mrs. Rosa Molina. And as an entire program, she was able to meet with all of us and discuss some of these topics, go over schedules, go over academic English language development for all the teachers. And so we were able to give them that opportunity as well.
And then one last question, and I promise I'm done with this. And it has to do with the parent involvement piece that you were talking about. You know, we know that classrooms and children do so much better when their parents are involved in everything they're doing. So is the efforts to reach out to the parents who are currently in dual immersion, both English speaking and Spanish speaking, does that come from the classroom teacher, from the school site, or from the district office? I mean, are there all levels of support in place, or is it up, you know, kind of like each school? Or
My answer would be yes. All of those.
All of those?
Yeah, all of those.
Okay.
Now, of course, I don't think that there's ever enough that we can do to try to reach out to parents and communicate and collaborate with them and to help instruct them.
Right.
But we have things at all 3 of those levels. The classroom things, I can't speak to specific classroom interactions between teachers. I can just speak with, from my experience as a principal of a dual immersion school, where I saw the teachers of those classrooms reaching out often to try to help parents. We had literacy nights. We had other school-wide events where people came in. I know that some of the schools, or all of the schools that have dual immersion this year, have had cultural nights and other nights with parents this year for the dual immersion, and all of the parents at the school.
But do they have, do they have opportunities where parents can learn how they can support their student in, you know, I mean, if you're in a, especially with literacy.
Right.
So I think it's happening through the literacy nights and the math nights that some of the schools have sponsored, and I know I can speak about Los Padres in that. One way they get their parents to be more involved is they have what they call a passport, and so for every time a parent participates in any kind of school-related event, they're getting a stamp at the end of the school year. They'll turn in their stamp for a chance at a prize.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah. So it's just another way to get
Sure.
the parents more involved. But I know I attended the literacy night, and it was very, very helpful, very impressive. And it wasn't just the dual language teachers, it was other teachers. I think it was open to whoever wanted to participate. And lots of great topics were covered. We had a lot of parents.
These are great questions, and I think on our school site plan presentations, there's an entire goal devoted to parent involvement, and I think those would be a great place if you want to see more specifics around that. But I would like to acknowledge we do have in the audience, I see a couple of faces that I recognize out there. Our dual immersion has a parent foundation, parents who formulated a foundation. So if you're part of the dual immersion foundation and supporting our dual immersion programs across the district, could you stand up? I just want to thank you for all of your I think all 4 principals that have the dual immersion programs at their school, if they could stand up and be recognized. Good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. President Kim and members of the board, we have our Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, who will lead the introduction on the next presentation, which is around our California math standards.
Good evening, Superintendent Martinez
Saunders.
and trustees. Yes, we have quite a few things to present to you on this, and I'm going to be joined by some wonderful partners. The first one, of course, is Linda Dillinger, the math coordinator at the Monterey County Office of Education. Linda has been a long partner with this district. She currently is a partner in our California Math and Science Partnership Grant. She's offered professional development to our teachers, certainly during the last 3 years that I've been in this position. And she has a longer history with lots of our folks. She taught many people in this audience, I'm sure, high school. She taught high school math. She also taught many of our teachers their math courses at CSUMB. So we have history with Linda, and I'm also very happy to announce that Linda is going to be staying with us. She's beginning a new portion of her career into retirement, but she is not leaving Salina City. She will be back with us as a consultant, continuing to do professional development. So, Linda Dillinger.
Good evening, board. Thank you for having me here today. As was noted, I have 9 more days of work with the county. I have 36 years in, and I am retiring. And I'm nervous but happy. So you know how that feels, where it's like a roller coaster and it's a whole new life. And I'm sad but happy, and I'm really grateful that I can continue working on the grant and doing any other projects with you and another neighboring district. So this will be great. So while I was cleaning out my office, whoops. When I was cleaning out my office, I found this book. And the book was written in the early 80s. It's called, and it was following an article called A Nation at Risk. A lot of people were saying yes, so gray-haired people, we know that's what. Mathematics education has to change. And so for my 36 years, that's what I've been trying to do. And we're finally there. It's hard, it's difficult. I just read a first chapter of a book that Doug Fisher wrote. Some of you know him as the EL specialist, and he wrote a math book. And the first thing says, I wish that we could have one of those men in black little things that erases the memory. So if we could erase the memory of how we were taught mathematics in our country, and then we could start and do it a better way. And so I'm going to share this with you, but I wanted to start to share why we have to change. And I know we don't have a document camera, but all of you with a smartphone, download PhotoMath. It's free. Can I just have you guys maybe stand up and I could just show you this? Do you mind looking over my phone? Would I be good right here? Right this second.
It's small group instruction.
Yeah. It starts out.
You got a bigger screen?
I'll show you. So what this is, like, here's some problems right here. Any problems in a book, there it is right there. There's the answer. And if you see the answer, just so, let me show you something. This is, let me show you, every high school kid has one of these now. So here's one.
What Linda is showing the board members is equations. You put your phone, your smartphone over the app that she just downloaded, and it instantly gives you the answer. Okay, that's kind of what she's demonstrating to the board
members. Any of
members.
these problems can be solved using PhotoMath. So every high school kid has one of these now. So we know that we have to send kids to the high school like a big. The ciphering is no longer, well, we still need to learn how to cipher, right? But not as much emphasis is played on that. So PhotoMath, did everybody get it? Thanks. So with that, the high schools in Monterey County 5 years ago decided to go integrated math. And they adopted a lot of the work around this book. And it follows 8 principles, 8 recommendations. You can take a few seconds to glance over those. Number 1 was my favorite. Problem solving be the focus. So employers don't want ciphers anymore. We don't need them. We've got photo math, we've got calculators. What we need is people that can think about the math and understand what the numbers can do for us. Number 3 is hysterical. This was in the 80s, this was 36 years ago. Do you remember the big computers that we had 36 years ago? Yeah. So now, we really, and so every 6th grader needs to have a calculator in their hand during math time. And then even 5th, 4th grade, there are supports for calculators on these new state assessments. So calculators can be pulled down and used. Okay. I borrowed this slide. You know, teachers make the best thieves. And I borrowed this slide from one of your principals, Ms. Hormizio, had this one, and I just love it. So part of our learning in mathematics, the first math practice that we use, is have kids learn perseverance. So we don't want kids crying in the math class, but we want them to do a productive struggle where they really have to think about what they read, and then how do they make a math problem out of it, how do they decontextualize words, make it a math problem, and then be able to solve it. So what you see around the county in K-12 schools the last 5 years are things like this, and this is the K-5 curriculum, and this is the curriculum you're using. And I apologize if your slides are a little bit out of order, but professionally I change at the last minute, and I just when I get another whim. But this is a read, draw, write. They're supposed to read the problem, they draw a picture, and these are called tape diagrams that are being used in the picture, that Singapore math that you might have heard about. And then they have to write their solution. Read, draw, write are what students being asked to do. Let's look at what happens in a 2nd grade classroom. What could happen? We still practice fluency, but take a look at that piece of paper. This is a test of speed, but a speed for the student themselves. They do page A, then they take a break, they record their time, then they turn it over and do page B. They're just competing against themselves. But take a look at those problems. What do you see there? Is that the typical 100 problem addition facts test that we used to give? No, there's patterns there. -1, +10. Using zero my hero a lot in there, 30 and 40, 32 and 40. So kids find patterns to think about how to get the answers, not just spitting out meaningless numbers from flashcards or things that they've learned. They actually have to think about the patterns. It's very powerful. I'm really excited about this. So they practice the fluency in the classrooms. They use multiple strategies. We're teaching the students how to do it different ways. In this picture down here, is there a little light? Can I just go up there and point? Sure. The middle one? There it is. So this is called a, what's this called, guys? Number bond, good. And, well, good. And this one's called it's using those number discs, right? The first time I saw those, I went, what the heck are those? And it took me a while to get used to them. So those of you using them, I applaud you, because it was really difficult for me to understand. But I know the kids get it a lot faster than I do. And so it's showing you different strategies. We know that 87% of our 5th graders do not have a command of place value in the United States. And so this K-5 curriculum that you're using, I'm going to keep referring to K-5 at first, but the K-5 curriculum is really emphasizes numbers and place value all the way through, even when they're talking about kilometers and the metric system. I mean, it's really powerful curriculum. So some more multiple strategies. I still see some more number bonds, some more discs. Different teachers have different ways of making the discs. I was really impressed with that. And then part of the read, draw, write again, and we talked, and what Ron was talking and Claudia was talking about earlier is we take words, whether they're in whatever language they're in, and we make them into a math problem. And that's where the thinking comes in, where they do have to read it, and then they draw, and then they write about it. And they write about it with, a complete sentence. So this is second grade. So the byproduct of this curriculum is not only are they good at math when they're finished, they're also good at language and thinking. And that's what's so powerful about the new standards. Some more ideas of how to add. We don't just teach one way to add. Again, they're always using a drawing, a model to add. And so this is adding 2 digits. And then you might have seen this one. And if anybody has Facebook, this was on there saying, well, we just do that, right? This is how we get that answer. Does everybody understand that that's the correct answer, right? Mm-hmm. But you know what some students will do? In our new way of teaching it, so we can really talk about the face value and the place value, is the kids don't have to start in the ones like the American algorithm used to drill into us. That's very clear that a student could say 3 10s take away 1 10 is 2 10s, and 2 1s take away 2 1s is 0. That's how we teach the kids. They make sense of it themselves based on face value and place value. Because a lot of times we taught kids how to just take the 2, borrow from the 3 if we needed to, or we don't give it back, so we call it regrouping now. But we take that 3, make it a 2, and it's really not a 3. We're taking 10, and we don't say that after all. We lose that, and so the kids never understood it. So this is one thing, but this is the cool one that people on Facebook were saying, why the heck are we doing this? Why would you do that for a problem? Why would you do it this way? Standards for mathematical practice, number 1, make sense of the problem and persevere. Why would we do it this way? What are we doing? Who said that? First grade? Oh, no, you're not even a first grade teacher. What we do in kindergarten and first grade all the time, we teach them how to count up, to subtract. So why can't we do it in second grade also? And look at what they're going for, the 0 my heroes. And you teach in kindergarten and first grade all the time, bundling to 5, bundling to 10. So this just does this. And this makes sense to kids. I know some of you are like, huh? But we want kids to think about the numbers, understand the numbers. We want to give kids many different ways to think about doing this problem, not just the American algorithm that hasn't worked for us. And I know I've talked to you about research before, and we can go all over the place, and I can share with you a lot of research on how we're doing as a country, but it's too depressing to explain that.
I don't get that.
Pardon? Oh, you want to explain it? Okay. Oh, anybody want to explain it, or do you want me to?
I want you to, please.
They're taking a problem and making it backwards. They're saying 12 plus what will give you 32. But intermediately, they're saying try to get to 5s or 10s. So 12 plus what gives you the next 5. 12 plus 3 equals 15. 15 plus what gives you 0. 15 plus 5 equals 20. 20 plus what gets you the next 10? 10, 30. 30 plus what gives you your 32, 2. Then you add all those intermediate steps and you get 20. But why?
The thing is that the kids understand this, and then we want kids to be thinking about the numbers. Again, well, it does make sense though, right? But we're not going for efficiency or speed anymore, we're going for thinking. And so that's where it changes, that's where the shift. I've got photo math that'll do speed. Right, I can do photo math with speed. But I want kids to think about the numbers and how they play with each other. And we know that kids are, really good at counting to zeros and counting up to fives. And so we really want to, what they learn in kindergarten, first grade, we're just emphasizing it. We're not skipping it. Yes, Al?
So they could have done 12 plus 8 is 20. 20 plus 10 is 30.
Yeah, could have done it another way.
Everything would come up the same.
We would call that the Mr. Velasquez way. That's the beauty of mathematics. There's not just one way to do it. And that's what we're excited about. Let's look at fourth grade. And I'm just the messenger, but I'm the messenger with excitement because this is our hope. These are the mathematics of hope. This is multiplication in a fourth grade class, and this is one of the scores that received a 4. This is the highest you can get. And it says use any place value strategy to multiply. This student really went for the gold because they used I think probably every strategy that teacher taught. Use the discs, the place value discs. Use what this is called partial products, or the area model, I'm sorry. This is partial products. And then this is our standard algorithm, the American algorithm. And you know that other countries in the world have different standard algorithms. So that's, again, the beauty of mathematics. And do we want students to learn all of them? In a perfect world. But right now, if they can learn 2 different ways, there's research done by John Starr out of Harvard that if we teach a student 2 different algorithms or 2 different ways to do it, that kind of lends itself toward that conceptual understanding of the math. If we just teach one way and move on, there's really no understanding. It just becomes rote. And again, we don't need rote thinkers in mathematics. We need a little memorization. I think memorize is only mentioned twice in the standards. In 2nd grade, I think, and 3rd grade for sure, with the multiplication facts, only through 999. This is one teacher that was showing me, and she sent me the picture and wrote to me, and I get this a lot from teachers. This teacher was not from your district, from MQSD, and I worked with her a year ago or so, but this was a success for her in terms of a student never doing well, in terms of a student helping a special ed student, and really exciting mathematics that was going on in her classroom. And I wanted to share that with you, that a lot of teachers have that success. And I think I heard somebody in the back just earlier that after the first year it gets easier. This is really difficult the first year because it's math we've never been taught and math that our kids have never been taught, and especially if you teach the upper grades, it's really hard. And over the years when the kids start kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, it will be marching through. It'll be wonderful. It's just going to take a while. And Dr. Treisman is a colleague of mine from Germany, and he's housed at the Dana Center at University of Texas. We brought in a lot of colleagues from around the world, a lot of mathematicians. We have Dr. Bowler, Joe Bowler, she's housed at Stanford, and she's part of the revolution of helping these standards move forward. But if you can get a chance, take a look and read that quote. So you think back of your high school algebra course. How much math was the teacher doing for all of us older people on the overhead compared to what we were doing in class?
90-10.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I had Mr. Haddon, and God love him, but I was watching him, and I was taking notes, and I was struggling, and then I'd have to digest it at night. And so we're changing that. Kids are doing more math in the math classrooms than students, and then they need to be discussing it 65% of the time. So that's what's going to help. And this curriculum that we have kind of helps us. It kind of helps us know as teachers what kind of questions we should be asking to keep the rigor in place and the kind of the deep thinking we want, and also when to give up the time to let the kids do that productive struggle. I'm going to show you one quick video, and then I'll answer some questions. This is a math problem. Okay. So here's the student's answer.
First, I read my I start my work by external algorithm, and I check my work. Then I throw it in a bubble array, and then I play value chart. I had 3 tens, so I put 2 of the tens in the group, and I moved 1 10 over to the ones place, and I drew 10 ones. Then I add 10 ones plus 8 ones, which gives me 18, and I divided it by 2, and I got 9 in each row. And 110 plus 9 ones that I have here equals $19. Each one will get a $10 bill, a $5 bill, and a $1 bill by 4 times, which is equal to $19.
So kids can do this. Okay, kids can do this with the support, and I thought that was really cute how she said that with five. What'd she say about the 4 ones?
$1 bill
4
by
times
4
one. Yeah. So instead of just saying 4 ones, she said $1 4 times. I thought that was cute. But anyway, any classroom I walk into, I can get these videos and show you some more. And it's amazing. It's how they're thinking about it and how they're able to feel successful and feel empowered. And she did it multiple ways, so she knows the answer is correct. We want them to attend to precision, not just move on. So we want them to check their work by another way. So, what are the implications for leadership, instruction, and assessment? When we're using this new program, we're all in it together, all the kids are in it. We want them doing math for 95% of the time that they're doing math. We want them talking about the math in the classroom. What does this mean for all of us? And that's where we hope to answer and give you some ideas. Any questions of me before Lori starts and shares some data with you? Oh, come on. Amy, no questions.
Not for you.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you, Linda. Linda, can I have the clicker? No.
Okay, got it?
Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to take you through now, I included in your board packet some grade level reports from all grades, and for brevity, we're just going to use 2 as samples and show you what we see that's going on, some conclusions that we've reached. We did a teacher survey on February 1st. We asked teachers at a staff meeting to answer some questions by their grade level, which was, did you have experience with Eureka Math the previous year? And what module are you on now? What lesson? And do you have any suggestions in how we can support you with Eureka Math? And then, at the request of a trustee, Virginia pulled data on February 14th. It was Valentine's Day, we can remember that, because she had nothing else to do on Valentine's Day but pull data. So your reports are from then. Actually, if you go in today and look, you can see that some teachers have added some more data. So just to give you a reminder, you've seen this before. These are what we have given to teachers as this year's Eureka Math End of Module Assessment target dates. I really want to emphasize target dates. We have a responsibility to give teachers a guide to how to move their students through a year's worth of content. We knew that this was the first year of a new program, and Linda has explained to you how rigorous this is and how challenging it is for both teachers and students. We did not say you're going to teach this program lesson by lesson, book by book. We took it, we pulled out in some grades, in all grades, at least one whole module, if not 1.5. We went through using the suggestions of the publishers to pull lessons that could be omitted, keeping a firm eye on the critical standards at the grade level. So by the time we gave that survey, in green, you see where those grade levels should have been on February 1st when we did that, okay? And I also, please notice at the bottom it says data is to be entered, scanned into ORS within a week of administering, because we understand that it takes a while to enter data, but within a week we wanted to be able to look at it, okay? So this actually shows you what our teachers had to say about teaching with Engage New York or Eureka Math. We had 236 responses of our teachers. It was about 70% of our teachers participated in this. And a little over half actually did have experience either through our math grant last year, or we opened it up and also provided teachers to anyone, materials invitations to trainings for teachers who wanted to try it out on their own. Okay, so I'm going to skip forward here to first grade. So the question we put to teachers is, as of February 1st, please indicate the module you're working on with your students. And if you look at this, you can see the teachers are all reporting that they're in 3 modules. Well, module 3 is actually would have technically have been the target. Module 2, which is in red, was scheduled to, teachers were to be finished with it on January 29th. So with 3 days over, there were still about a quarter of the teachers that were still on that module, but 55 were right on target in module 3, and then we had 18% report that they'd actually skipped ahead to module 4, which is not really, according to our timeline, due to be finished until end of April. So taking a look at this, our conclusion is, yeah, we have people who are really having a hard time with it, but for the most part, our teachers are right on track. I know it's tough, and I know that we need to support the people who aren't, but this isn't as perhaps as difficult here, these results. Then I'm going to let Virginia talk a little bit about the data charts here that show the students' test results. Here, you want this?
I have my own.
Oh,
Yes, thank you.
she has her own.
Good evening. So just to give you a review on how the actual reports, the layout of the reports. So on the left hand, we have actually the Eureka Math English Grade 1. And these are the actual module for Module 1, Module 2, and Module 3. That's to the left. And to the right is actually the Eureka Math in Spanish for Grade 1. Okay? So with Module 1, you can barely see those numbers there, but they're actually 853 as of the day when I pulled this data, which was on Valentine's Day. As of today, actually, that number still remains the same. But in the Eureka rubrics, you can see there's 4 steps. Step 1, which is the dark blue. Step 2, which is the lighter blue. Step 3, which is the green. And Step 4, which is the yellow. And so basically, I'm not going to say the whole name of the rubrics, but we start with Step 1 being the lower end of the rubric with little evidence of reasoning. And Step 2 is evidence of some reasoning without correct answer. And Step 3 is evidence of some reasoning with a correct answer, or solid reasoning with an incorrect answer. And then Step 4 is evidence of solid reasoning with a correct answer. So what you can tell here on Module 2, then we have 561, and as of today, there's actually 579. With Module 3, it says 27, but as of today, it was up to 185. So teachers are actually, little by little, entering the data in there, okay? The other thing that you can kind of see here too is that you're seeing that what we would like to see is that the blue, the little reasoning or little evidence of reasoning, actually those numbers go down, which you can see here. By Module 3, just in this particular sample, is that there isn't any students in that step 1, which is showing little evidence of reasoning. You'll see that it's actually moved more into the step 2.
I'm sorry, can you clarify for me a little bit? Like, step 1, step 2, step 3, that's level of comprehension or something like that?
Yeah, that's the rubric that Eureka Math uses. They actually give us that rubric. So level of like proficient, level of evidence and reasoning.
So they have to show their work, and so they have to show their thinking about it. And so if they even reason correctly and get the wrong answer, they still could be at level 2 or 3, depending on how the reasoning looks. So again, we're not looking for just correct answers with a scan sheet. We're looking at student work. And another thing on behalf of the teachers, we spent a Saturday grading some of these papers, and it's not easy. We're getting used to it too, so we're learning right along with the teachers. So we're looking at each kid, each student individually and what they know about mathematics.
So 4 is where you want to be.
3 is pretty good.
3 is well, 4 is where I would want to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is there any way to take that module 3 number, the 27 students there, and just pull their data up to see how well they did in module 2 and how well they did in module 1? So we're really looking at apples and apples, you know, because right now that's a beautiful picture, but it's false because you're talking about 853 students in the first administration down to 27 in the third. So you're really only looking 27 of those 853 kids. So is there any way of just looking at the 27 and seeing, because they may have started off great at the beginning too. So the data's kind of, I mean, it doesn't give you a true picture of how well they're working through the modules. Like if they're really developing reasoning skills, it just shows that fewer kids are taking, you know, are being entered.
And it's my hope that the teachers will do this. I think showing district-wide data, we don't want to show by school, we don't want to show by teacher, we're not You know, we're hoping the teachers internalize that part of it. I'm sure we can get you that data. I mean, I know, but I think we're just now showing you, Mrs. Ish, the you know, just the kind of the picture of the whole thing, what we're getting from the district.
Yeah, I think my point is, if you're using the data to drive staff development, or if you're using the data to, you know, look for ways of support, to show 850 kids versus 27, it's not, you're not getting a true picture of how those kids are progressing. Also through the grade levels, you know, from one grade level to the next. That was my only point.
And, you know, we're not probably going to have that data entered for a while, because teachers need time. I know that you want.
Right, but as of today, that 27 was at 185, so it is going up.
It's going up.
It is, and we definitely, our site test coordinators, our vice principals need to, they can drill down and see which teachers may not have entered and ask what kind of support can we give you to get this data in.
Okay.
Because by reports, they've moved on to the next module.
And teachers can look at their individual students and see growth.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So each teacher can pull their own class.
Their own.
Yes. Absolutely.
To show.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm just going to shoot ahead here to 5th grade, because 5th is a tough year. 5th is a very, very tough year. Oh, let me go back one. There you go. This is on February 1st, where teachers reported they were, and they should have been on Module 3. That Module 3 was on our target, I guess, casing guide, our target. It would have ended by February 11th for teachers to have taught the vast majority of the standards that students need for the SBAC at their grade level. So you can see that almost 91% of the teachers are reporting that they're on track for the module. We have, I don't know if it's an error. One of the teachers, the Module 1, which was supposed to end September 30th, one person was reporting that they were there, and then there was someone else in December 9th that read Module 2, and actually it's probably maybe 2 teachers at the most, and then the green, they were actually shot ahead. So this didn't necessarily, again, show us that our teachers were not on target in terms of where they were in the program, which, considering the challenges, is quite an accomplishment. Okay, Virginia, and then the data. Okay.
So once again, I'm not going to actually explain. It's the same format as the previous slide, but what I do want to share with you that as of today, because once again, I pulled this data on February the 14th. The first number, which is Module 1, was at 1049, and as of today, it's at 1075. Module 2 was at 814, and as of today, 862. And then Module 3 was at 50, and as of today, at 194. So as you can once again see is that the data is being entered at just at different paces. Okay. With the Spanish, you'll see that module, there's nothing there for Module 3 for 5th grade, but as of today, Module 3 had actually 28 students. And the numbers also for Module 1 actually went up to 93, and Module 2 went up to 80. So the day, that's only within a week. Okay, are there any questions on that?
And really, just to conclude, before we take questions, I would add that when, with part of the survey was to ask teachers just to add text comments, well, how can we support you with this implementation? And there were teachers that did say, slow down the pacing, slow down the pacing. I didn't find it to be an overwhelming number. Just as many, actually the single area was really that they needed, they asked for professional development, they asked for guidance, they asked for model classrooms to visit, they asked for access to videos to see other teachers do lessons, they asked for time to collaborate with other teachers and plan strategically their lessons. That was really the overwhelming clamor, I would say. And, you know, requests for materials and this and that. So, any questions for any of this trio who's doing this presentation? Okay. Well, thank you, and thank you, Ms. Linda.
And last but not least, wait, there's President Kim. I feel like we need a stretch break.
Yes.
It's like the kids.
Does everyone need a break?
No, I'm kidding. Let's get through this one and then maybe we can stand up. We have a professional development plan that was going to be presented by our assistant superintendent.
Well, hi, I'm Lori Sanders. Good evening, superintendent and trustees. And what I'm presenting here is sort of an update for you on the professional development that we've done to date this year and our plans to end the year. And then also some very, very draft tentative plans that we've made for next year. Some in part of identifying